Over the weekend, an outrageous story developed in Des Moines, Iowa, of all places, where the all-female school board wanted to hire their superintendent of public schools, and they really wanted to go the DEI route. I mean, super diverse. I mean, so diverse that hiring an African American wasn't good enough. They hired an African. Only problem is, he wasn't in the country legally. In fact, he was facing a deportation order. What happened next was insane. Here's how the Department of Homeland Security detailed the events. This criminal illegal alien with prior weapons charges was working as the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools. ICE Des Moines, Ian Andre Roberts, a criminal illegal alien from Guyana in possession of a loaded handgun. Roberts has existing weapon charges from February 5th, 2020. Roberts entered the U.S. in 1999 on a student visa, was given a final order of removal by an immigration judge in May of 2024. The illegal alien was hired despite his criminal record, which should alarm parents of the Des Moines School District. ICE law enforcement is doing great work every day to remove public safety threats. Here is the illegal immigrant criminal in question, who, yes, was hired as the superintendent of schools for Des Moines. There's the loaded gun that was found in his car upon his arrest. In fact, the deportation order, as just noted, goes back to May of 2024. That's when Joe Biden was president. Can I just say, for your record as an illegal immigrant to rise to the level of deportation under Alejandro Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden, what kind of dirtbag criminal do you have to be? Because they were keeping murderers in the country without deportation orders and rapists. This guy was facing a deportation order in the country illegally. He's pulled over by ICE officers in Des Moines. He realizes they're from ICE. He hightails it in his car and speeds away and resists arrest. High-speed chase ensues. He pulls over, ditches his car, runs into a wooded area. They bring out the canine dogs after him, track him down, hiding in bushes. He had $3,000 cash. He had the loaded firearm in his car, along with a knife. He's the superintendent of schools for Des Moines, Iowa, and the circumstances surrounding his employment and the reaction of the school board is amazing. Here, watch this.
This board delivered on all fronts, and as such, I am thrilled today to introduce to Des Moines Public Schools, the Des Moines community, and the state of Iowa, Des Moines' 14th superintendent, Dr. Ian Roberts. On behalf of my board colleagues, thank you all. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Ian Roberts to Des Moines and Des Moines Public Schools. Dr. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam President. I stand here this evening before you with immense gratification and certainly a sense of pride and humility. I am incredibly grateful for the vote of confidence that the board has shown.
Yeah, just so you know, pal, you're not nearly as proud as those women on the school board. They are so proud of themselves. They are spraining their arms, twisting to pat themselves on the back because they're so proud of how virtuous they are, how inclusive they are, how they've led with equity and diversity, bringing you in there. See the woman in the orange dress? Yeah, let's take a closer look at who she is. Watch what she had to say after the arrest of their superintendent.
It seems fitting to take a page out of Dr. Roberts' book and ask the community to engage in radical empathy as we work through this situation together. We do not have all the facts. There is much we do not know. However, what we do know is that Dr. Roberts has been an integral part of our school community since he joined over 2 years ago. During his time with our district, he has shown up in ways big and small.
He was arrested.
All right, so wait, hold on. Let Brian finish this.
With a loaded handgun, a fixed blade hunting knife, $3,000 in cash.
Yes, but we need to practice radical empathy. There's a whole lot more that we need to find out. There's more to this story. Don't just take it if it. No, sometimes the story is exactly what it is. on its face.
Seems fitting to take a page out of Dr. Roberts' book and ask the community to engage in radical empathy.
Radical empathy. So that is a buzzword for the left and for the DEI crowd. Okay, so who is this woman? That is the chairwoman of the Des Moines School Board. Her name is Jackie Norris, and she's also running for Senate as a Democrat, of course. There's a couple of lessons here. First of all, most of the people on your school board right now, it's not a mom or a dad or a grandma who wants to give back to the community and volunteer their time as a public servant so they can help the school system and help educate the kids. Oh, sure, there's a few of them, but most of them are careerist Democrats who are using your school board as a stepping stone to further their political career. And for Democrats, it makes a lot of sense because when you're on the school board, you're going to be in touch with all of those powerful teachers union presidents. They've got all the money. They've got all the organization. They help you get on the school board. You do whatever they want to make sure that they get a nice, fat, lucrative contract next time around. And then when you're running for your next political office, it's payback time. That's how it works. So when she's not running for Senate in the state of Iowa, she's the chair of the Des Moines School Board. It makes perfect sense. Take a look at some of the people on your school board right now in the major city close to you. Maybe not your little neighborhood if you live in a suburb or in the rural areas. The closest big city to you. Take a look at who's on the school board. Find out what their history is. Find out how they're politically connected. And even more so, find out how many of them don't even have kids. But they're on that school board and they're making very political decisions with your kid's future. That's her, Jackie Norris. She led the charge to hire this criminal illegal alien, and now she wants radical empathy from you as they figure out what their cover story is. Oh, another thing you should know about young Jackie Norris. She was Michelle Obama's chief of staff. I mean, the jokes just write themselves. There's more about this guy. You heard her just praising him. Oh, we should take a page out of his book and express radical empathy. And he's just been an indelible mark on our school system and our children. And it's just been so great to have him for these last 2 years. Laura Powell, attorney out of California, has done a deep dive here. Take a look at this stuff. Court records show that Robert's birth date is December 18th, 1970, but his original Wikipedia entry, created by an account that nearly matches a handle Roberts uses, said he was born December 18th, 1978. Records from athletic competitions list his date of birth as December 18th, 1973. More, Roberts is quoted in 2020 referring to Guyana as his birthplace and saying that his father immigrated to the States in the 80s, his mother in the 2000s, but in 2024, a local news story, he claims he was born in Brooklyn and raised by a single mother. His Facebook lists 2 secondary schools in Guyana as his alma maters. This guy is a charlatan, it looks like. His LinkedIn lists a lot of universities, though notably the degrees are absent. He calls himself a doctor, right? Elsewhere, he claims 2 master's degrees and 2 doctorates in addition to a bachelor's. I found some sources that claim he has a PhD, but I'll presume these were honest errors. It appears he does have an EDD from an online university. He also claims he did a postdoc at Harvard. During the years that Robert supposedly was earning numerous graduate degrees, he also claims to have been continuously employed as a teacher for a few years, then as a school administrator for almost 2 decades. His LinkedIn indicates that he was moonlighting as an executive leadership coach and a chief thought partner for a private company since 2020, while he was the superintendent for 2 different school districts. I'm not going to bother to share all the bios that inflate his job titles to the point of lying, but it goes on and on. And get this, Robert's official bio from his current employer, Des Moines Public Schools, says that while in the nation's capital, he was named the George Washington University 2013 Washington, D.C. Principal of the Year. I've searched and searched and can't find any record of this award, nor can I find a record of George Washington University giving out a Principal of the Year award to anyone, ever. Roberts was a principal at Anacostia High at the time. If any students want to look into it, Anacostia High School is in Prince George's County, Maryland. In fact, the Maryland connections run deep. We'll get to that in a minute. One of Robert's most interesting claims from his bio in his 2009 self-published book is that he was a commissioned military officer and a police officer detective. He dropped the service from his resume until 2022 when a run-in with law enforcement became public. After pleading guilty to violating Pennsylvania gun laws, he released a statement that insinuated the officer was motivated by racism and mentioned that he was a trained commissioned military officer with a wealth of experience in firearms training and safety. I found some indications that he was in the Guyanese military, and this would explain the gap he had before entering college in the U.S. in 1995. Depending on which birth year is accurate, he was either 17, 22, or 25 in 1995. And the deep dive goes on and on. You should check out Laura Powell's X feed so you can read into this guy. But the bottom line here is, it's hard to criticize a scrappy, young, ambitious immigrant from Africa who comes here illegally, violates all of our laws, and then creates some sort of fantastic biography of himself, claims to be a doctor of education, and then gets a job as the superintendent of schools for Des Moines. He's just following his American dream after all. But what about the school board? An all-female Democrat woke school board went out of their way to hire this guy. And was there a basic background check done? Was anything checked about this guy? Here's Laura Powell in just 24 hours finding all of these discrepancies, and no one who works at the Des Moines school system or for the school board hiring a superintendent in charge of the public schools budget, finances, vision, curriculum, not to mention the safety of all of the children of Des Moines. Not one person looked into the background and started cross-checking some of these claims. Not one person. Well, because the priority wasn't hiring the best and the brightest and the most competent and the most trustworthy and the most principled. What was the goal? Well, you can see it right here in the announcement and bio of Dr. Ian Roberts, superintendent. Dr. Roberts came to Des Moines after serving as superintendent of the Mill Creek Township, Pennsylvania School District for 3 years, where his focus was culturally responsive, quality, and equity-based instructional leadership that prepared every student for college or a career. Diversity and equity. That's what the goal was. Who has time for cross-checking facts and criminal records and immigration status and basic claims about one's background, resume, and education when you're hiring for diversity and equity? Diversity über alles. And they got exactly what they wanted in Dr. Roberts. They got a criminal. In fact, there's the beautiful mugshot. Looks a little different there, doesn't he? Ian Andre Roberts, according to this record, this is a voting record in Greenbelt, Maryland. As I mentioned, Prince George's County, Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C. Of course, he's a registered Democrat, but he's registered to vote in Maryland. This is his voter ID card. Registration status is active and registered. He registered in January of 2012 as a Democrat. Well, there you go. He's a registered Democrat. Wait a second. I thought he was in the country illegally. Well, there's got to be some mistake here. Illegal immigrants don't register to vote. Everyone knows that. It's a myth. It's a myth that illegal aliens are registered to vote, let alone actually vote. I'm sure he hasn't broken those laws. Oh, sure. He's willing to break the law against our immigration. He's willing to break our law against working as an illegal immigrant. He's willing to break our laws about firearms and owning firearms and carrying firearms illegally. He's willing to violate all of those laws. But certainly he wouldn't violate the sacrosanct laws against illegal immigrants voting in our elections. That would be a bridge too far, right? Yeah, exactly. By the way, you want to really be stunned? After everything that we've learned, after everything that I've told you, after all of the insanity of this guy being in charge of the future of Iowa children in Des Moines, they're outside the jailhouse protesting on his behalf. They want him free. They think he's the victim.
You all day, Dr. Ian Roberts, Superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, was arrested by ICE, detained by ICE this morning. Now, hundreds of people have gathered here in downtown Des Moines demanding his release.
I believe I said earlier in this program that Great Britain has a problem. We've got a problem. That is insane. When you look at everything that I just laid out to you about this guy and about the lies about his background and his criminal record, he's now been arrested. He fled police. He hid in the bushes. They had to use a dog to track him down. He had an illegal loaded firearm in his car and a blade, $3,000 cash. He's been bilking the taxpayers of Des Moines, lied on his application for the job, and lied in his bio and his resume, lied when he filled out his I-9 form. You know how we all have to fill out an I-9 form to prove that you're in the country legally? He lied on that. He probably is guilty of identity theft using somebody else's fake Social Security number. And when you look at all of that, the lunatics in Des Moines on the political left, the Democrats, they see in this entire story ICE agents being the bad guys. Federal law enforcement officers actually enforcing the law against this guy and making sure that he's not around children. They're the bad guys. And the hero is the criminal. Did I mention he was a Democrat? Just wanted to make sure you got that part.